Coming right up, the United States has blacklisted a Chinese firm toughening sanctions against North Korea after its fifth nuclear test earlier this month. The 20th National Assembly kicks off its parliamentary audit, but wrangling between the ruling and opposition parties stalls proceedings. NASA has witnessed evidence of possible water plumes on Jupiter's largest moon, a sign that could point to life elsewhere in our solar system.
Hello, it's Tuesday, September 27th here in Seoul. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Hwang Jie. Today is a special day for Arirang TV as we are now being broadcast on networks in the United Kingdom. It's especially exciting as we are the first Korean TV channel to be available on Britain's satellite networks. We will bring you more about this later in the newscast, but let's start off at the United States that has blacklisted and filed criminal charges against a Chinese firm for assisting North Korea with its nuclear and missile programs. The sanctions on Dandong Hongshang Industrial Development Company and 4 of its officials followed recent revelations that the firm exported several materials that can help Pyongyang develop weapons of mass destruction. This marks the first time Washington has imposed direct sanctions on a Chinese company in connection with North Korea's weapons programs. The U.S. Treasury Department says the Justice Department filed a civil forfeiture action for all the funds contained in 25 bank accounts belonging to the company. The U.S. hopes the sanctions will make other Chinese enterprises think twice about engaging in future transactions with North Korea. South Korea and the United States conducted a joint naval drill in the EC on Monday. The exercise was aimed at sending a strong message against future provocations by North Korea and its growing nuclear and missile threats. In a joint statement, the commander of the Republic of Korea Fleet, Vice Admiral Lee Ki-shik, and the commander of American Naval Forces in Korea, Brad Cooper, said the two allies are always ready to deter aggression and defeat the enemy to maintain stability on the Korean peninsula. The U.S. deployed a Burke-class destroyer as well as P-3 surveillance aircraft, while South Korea's Navy deployed an Aegis destroyer, submarines, and anti-submarine helicopters. More than 100,000 North Koreans in the northeast of the country are suffering some of the worst flooding to hit the north in decades. The military is lending a helping hand, but leader Kim Jong-un is nowhere to be seen. For more on what could be holding him back and when he might make an appearance, Connie Kim reports.
It has been nearly a month since North Korea was hit by torrential rainfall that triggered some of the worst flooding the regime has seen in decades. Pyongyang has been mobilizing soldiers and workers to help the 140,000 people affected, but leader Kim Jong-un has not visited the area himself. Instead, the North state-run Korean Central Television reported Sunday that Kim provided gifts to people in North Hamgyong province, a region affected by the severe flooding. The report did not elaborate on what gifts were sent. The North's official media reported earlier this month that Kim had sent anti-flood equipment to the area. Seoul's Unification Ministry believes Kim will likely visit the flood-stricken areas when recovery efforts are complete, if history is a guide. Last year, Kim visited regions severely affected by heavy rainfall after all related recovery projects were finished and took credit for the post-flood reconstruction work.
Kim has probably not visited the area in this case as well, as the recovery projects have not yet been completed.
But there are already some signs of a recovery in progress. The Korean Central News Agency reported Monday that Musan Mining Center in North Hamgyong province has restarted operations. Seoul has maintained its stance that it cannot provide flood relief in light of the North's fifth nuclear test, conducted in defiance of the international community's sanctions on the regime. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The first parliamentary audit of the 20th National Assembly started Monday with only half the normal turnout. That's because the ruling party refused to attend due to the opposition party's decision last weekend to file a motion for the dismissal of the agriculture minister. Our political correspondent Kim Young-gil reports.
Lawmakers from the ruling Saenuri Party boycotted the first day of the National Assembly's 20-day audit of government ministries and agencies. The Saenuri floor leader says Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun's decision last Friday to call a vote on dismissing Kim Jae-soo, President Park's pick for agriculture minister, was politically motivated.
The opposition parties and the Assembly Speaker have been politicizing the dismissal motion against the agriculture minister so they can extend the probing period of a special investigative committee into the Seoul ferry disaster.
Kim, who took office earlier this month, has taken heat from opposition lawmakers over potential ethical lapses, including allegations of suspicious real estate trading and receiving a loan from a bank at an unusually low rate. The ruling party is demanding the Assembly Speaker resign, saying that the dismissal vote for Kim did not follow the rules, and Saenuri Chief Lee Jong-yeon has launched a hunger strike. Assembly Speaker Chung said the vote was legitimate and did follow the rules. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea called on the ruling party to participate in the audit, which involved 12 parliamentary committees.
The ruling party has ridiculed the speaker and boycotted all parliamentary affairs. Abandoning the audit is the same as neglecting our duty to look after the people's livelihoods.
To avoid a deadlock, Chung suggested postponing the audit by 2 to 3 days, but has been met with resistance from the opposition. The ruling party has vowed to continue its boycott, so unless the parties reach some kind of compromise, the opposition will continue to run the show. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
And let's turn to the new milestone for Arirang TV, the channel you are watching right now, as we have begun broadcasting on local satellite networks in the UK for the very first time, as I mentioned earlier. Our reporter Kwon Jang-ho is in London to witness Arirang's first airing on British soil.
Arirang TV is transmitted to over 100 countries around the world, but now it's taken a new step in the UK by being made available on Britain's local satellite networks. On September 26th, Arirang TV became available in UK households, including Emma Stock's home here in London. Emma, a fashion student, has been an avid fan of Korean culture for a number of years now. She had been watching Arirang online in the past, but now she's excited about the prospect of having it readily available in her living room in full HD.
I think it's really cool because I can see like favourite actors, singers. There's a variety of different shows to watch, and I can show my mum and my family what I'm up to and then why I like Korea so much, and then they can learn more as well.
Arirang is now on 2 TV service providers in the UK, Sky and Freesat. Together, they are beamed into more than 6 million households. The UK is the 4th largest English-speaking nation in the world and is therefore an especially important market for Arirang, whose English-language broadcasts look to share and better inform people about Korea's culture, history and current affairs.
I think the excitement's beginning to build. Now people are starting to hear about it, and I think it will be very, very popular on Freesat. We hope it will bring a new perspective on news and culture and more information and introduce UK viewers to Korea.
Anticipation is high among those who have already an interest in Korea. Sebastian is a linguist who worked as a translator in Seoul and used to watch Arirang TV before moving back to the UK.
I thought it was a really good way to get into Korean culture. Also, it was a lot easier because it was in English. I think it's really great that now I can just, it's coming at home, so now I can just go home, turn on the TV, and I can have Arirang right there, like that. And I think it's going to be really good to tell my other friends about it.
Sebastian's friend, Taeyong, is also keen to see what Arirang has to offer.
As a British-born Korean, I felt kind of a big distance away from everything that was happening in Korea. And when I did try to tune into the news, obviously the level of Korean being spoken on television is way too high standard for me to understand. So I think to have it accessible in English at home would be really convenient.
But as well as bridging the gap for those who already have connections with Korea, there are high hopes that through informative and entertaining content, Arirang TV will be able to reach a new British audience. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News, London.
Hello, I'm Cho Yun-sun, Korea's Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism. The United Kingdom is a cultural powerhouse, symbolized by such icons as William Shakespeare, the Beatles, and Harry Potter. Its BBC serves as a benchmark for broadcasters around the world and is followed and trusted by a global audience. And now, I'm very happy and proud to announce that Arirang TV can showcase Korea's latest news and culture to viewers in the United Kingdom. When I visited the Korean Culture Center in London, I was overjoyed to find out that many young people in the country had a deep interest and affection for Korea and Korean culture. In Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare wrote, "And find delight writ there with beauty's pen." With the help of Arirang's genuine and heartfelt voice, I hope viewers in the United Kingdom can find delight and beauty in Korea's rich and authentic culture, state-of-the-art technology, dynamic economy, and last but not least, its beautiful natural scenery. Korea and the United Kingdom have maintained a strong and healthy diplomatic relationship for almost a century. I'm sure that Arirang TV will act as a cultural bridge that further fosters communication and exchanges and helps strengthen mutual understanding and affection between the two countries for many more years to come. Thank you.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that Arirang TV is now launching in the UK. I remember Arirang TV from my own time in Korea when I was ambassador, even 20 years or so ago, I think it was there. And it's about time that it came to the UK. And I think British viewers will be very interested in seeing what's coming out of Korea these days. A lot of Korean films, food, music, dance is becoming very popular here. We've got Korean footballers playing in our Premier League. So I think there's growing interest, and I congratulate Arirang TV on starting to broadcast and launch their activities here.
The wait is almost over. The first televised face-off between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump will get underway in less than 4 hours from now. It's expected to be the most watched presidential debate in history and could even rival ratings seen during the Super Bowl. Yoon Shin reports.
Their first historic face-off is almost here. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and her Republican rival Donald Trump are gearing up for their first debate on Monday night in one of this century's most anticipated TV events. Moderated by NBC News anchor Lester Holt, it's a 90-minute session starting at 9 p.m. at New York's Hofstra University. Clinton and Trump are expected to cover topics including foreign policy and national security issues. Clinton has 3 decades of experience in politics and a long history of high-profile debates. Last Wednesday, she put a pause on campaigning to prepare for the debate. And Donald Trump, who vanquished nearly a dozen opponents in the Republican debates, has also been getting ready while on the campaign trail. It's reported that he's been studying Clinton's past debates to find flaws in her stances on national issues, with the help of Steve Bannon, the CEO of the Trump campaign, and others on his team. Just 6 weeks ahead of Election Day, the polls show the two candidates neck and neck. A poll released on Sunday by ABC News and The Washington Post showed voters are split, with 46% for Clinton and 44% for Trump, well within the poll's 4.5 percentage point margin of error. Described as debate of the century, Monday night's showdown is expected to draw more than 100 million viewers in the States alone. And with the rest of the world eyeing this crucial point in the U.S. election, it'll be streamed live online through platforms like YouTube. Shin, Arirang News.
Here in Korea, prosecutors on Monday filed an arrest warrant against the chief of retail giant Lotte Group on charges of embezzlement. For more on the snowballing corruption case surrounding Korea's fifth largest conglomerate, Lee Min-young reports.
The Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office has requested an arrest warrant for Lotte Group Chairman Shin Dong-bin for embezzlement and breach of trust charges. If the request is granted, it will be the first time in Lotte Group's decades-long history that the chairman has been detained in a criminal investigation. Many observers had expected prosecutors to continue the investigation into Shin without detaining him, but officials reportedly made the decision based on the gravity of the charges against him and in consideration of possible future probes into other Korean conglomerates. The 61-year-old has allegedly presided over questionable mergers and acquisitions, selling the assets at below-market prices. He is also accused of amassing over $26 million in slush funds, siphoned off of the group's construction arm over the past decade. Prosecutors estimated that the total amount of illegal transactions could amount to as much as $154 million. Shin was summoned for questioning last Tuesday and spent 18 hours under the microscope. Prosecutors say they also plan on charging Lotte's founder Shin Gyuk-ho and the chair's older brother Shin Dong-ju without holding them in custody. The Seoul Central District Court will hold a hearing on whether to issue the arrest warrant, and the decision is expected Wednesday. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
Korea's unionized subway and railway workers are going on strike today to protest the adoption of a performance-based pay system. The Seoul Metropolitan Government says subway trains will run as usual during the morning and evening rush hours. Spots during that time will be filled by temporary workers. However, at other times, services will be cut to about 80% of normal levels to lessen the burden on commuters. The city will lay on more buses. The government has been pushing to implement the new wage system as a way to raise competitiveness. The Transport Ministry does not expect major disruptions for the KTX bullet train. However, regular train services will only run at 60% of usual levels. NASA has announced that water could be spewing from the surface of one of Jupiter's moons, adding weight to the theory that Europa could potentially harbor life. The U.S. Space Agency says its Hubble Space Telescope has imaged what may be water vapor plumes erupting off Europa, which lends further evidence for the existence of a deep ocean under the moon's icy surface. NASA says the plumes provide a tantalizing opportunity to gather samples originating from Europa without having to land or drill through the ice. Previous findings had pointed to the existence of an ocean under Europa's icy crust, but it was thought teams would have to drill through the thick layer of ice before any signs of life would be detectable. First discovered in 1610, Europa is the largest of Jupiter's 67 known moons. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Thank you for staying with us. More updates coming out right up at 8 a.m. Korea time, so do stay tuned, and goodbye for now.